Hi guys, here's Paula, the crazy ozone lady, and in this video I want to talk about how to prepare for when shit hits the fan with ozone. So when shit hits the fan, what I mean by this is the upcoming social disruption that many Americans are anticipating after the election. So I read that there was a poll, and I believe over 50%, I don't know whether 51 or 58% of Americans say that they're anticipating riots and other chaos in the streets after the election. And the Democrats, they have also announced, it was either Democrats or some ultra left fringes of the Democratic Party, they said that basically unless the public will vote in a landslide a result for Joe Biden, there will be riots. So no matter what the outcome of the election will be, the Democrats are planning to contest the results, and this will in all likelihood result in major disruptions, riots, chaos, violence, and so forth. So although I am saying, okay, how do you prepare for this with ozone? Actually, I want to first talk about some things and suggest some things which in my opinion are much more important than ozone, and that is food. So another poll has also revealed that more than 50% of Americans are currently stocking up on food because they're anticipating food disruptions and food shortages, and I believe they have a really good reason to do so. And for this, I want to show something. So there is a YouTuber. He has a channel, Ice Age Farmer. So let me show you his channel right here. So this is it. And so he does a pretty good job in documenting and reporting on all the disruptions in the food production chain that have been happening in the past years. And so he says that there is something bigger brewing, and he says that there will be definitely price increases in food, and or some food items will not be available at all. And so here, for example, this is a video from August 11th. He also pointed out something that is highly relevant, in my opinion, is the fact that many US states are stocking up on food. And you see here this picture, so those are pellets of huge amounts of food, of dry food, of canned food that many US states are currently stocking up on. And so this is indication for the fact, in my opinion, that the authorities are anticipating something major, so some major food shortages. And if you are conspiratorially inclined, then you may also take into account the fact that there is a scenario by various non-governmental, non-for-profit or supranational organizations, which basically take into account the possibility that there will be no food and that people will starve. And so we know that many events, like for example 9/11, like COVID, like the Boston bombing, they always happened at the same time or shortly after such a test scenario was run through, such a simulation. And then, strangely or conveniently enough, right after such a simulation took place, then that exact scenario that they were playing through in the simulation then actually took place. And so such a scenario for food shortages also exists for this area. So this man here, his name is Christian, he makes a pretty good argument that he says this is all engineered, this is all manufactured, all those food disruptions and all that. So I think the chances that there will be problems in the food supply are pretty high. And so, in my opinion, one of the most important things that you can do is to buy a freezer for your home. So buy a freezer and stock it up with preferably meat. I believe that meat is really the most important food item. And so, especially if you're chronically sick, if you have any type of problems, then most likely inflammation is part of the problem. And one of the best ways to keep inflammation in the body down is to go on a ketogenic or on a carnivore diet. So basically go very, very or zero low carb. And because you don't want to be in a situation where Armageddon hits, where basically it's the end of the world, like major violence and disruption in the all around you. And on top of this, you're dealing with your health problems and can't really defend yourself properly. So this is one of the things that I would do first is actually I did it. So I myself already bought a freezer and I stocked it up with meat. So I think this is even more important than buying ozone equipment or anything else right now. But now, when you buy a freezer, and by the way, I included some recommendations in the description below the video. Now, when you buy a freezer and you will look at the volume of the freezer, now keep one thing in mind. So this is one mistake that I did when I was buying my freezer, and so I want to prevent others from doing the same mistake. So basically, when you select your freezer, then whatever the volume it says it has, let's say, for example, 7 cubic feet, which says 7 cubic feet, according here to this tool that I have, this is 52 gallons, all right? So if the freezer, it says that it can hold 52 gallons of volume, then you cannot conclude from this that you will be able to stock in there 52 gallons of food in there, because the food will come in packages, either in vacuum packages or some cardboard maybe around it on top of the plastic. And of course, there will be some space in between the single packages. So let's say if you buy a freezer, which it says holds 50 gallons of where the volume says 52 gallons, you will most likely be able to only put in there maybe 40 gallons worth of food. So this is something that I didn't consider. And now I regret it. And in my opinion, I bought a freezer which is too small. So I wish I bought a bigger one. So this is something to keep in mind before you buy one. And I think Amazon has some pretty good deals. So they're included again in the description below. And another thing that you want to buy is a water filter. So this is also something that you want to be prepared that you will not be able to buy you will not be able to buy water at the store, and so that you can just filter the tap water with the help of the filter. And I think a very good filter is a Berkey filter, like this one here. This is pretty popular and pretty good quality. So I know a woman who she has extreme food sensitivity, so she reacts really to the slightest things in her food, and she uses this Berkey gravity fed filter, and she is very happy with this. So those are the things that I would do even before thinking about ozone or anything else. Another thing is when you have the freezer, then of course you need the power supply, right? And so let's say that really something really serious happens, so that even your power supply will be disrupted, then it is a good idea to have either a battery like this that you can charge up with the help of solar panels, all right? So you would buy a battery and an array here of solar panels so that you would be basically completely independent. And so then you can use this battery to either run your freezer or your ozone equipment, because let's remember, you can only use an ozone generator if you have power. If you don't have power, then of course you won't be able to do any ozone treatments. So another good way to be independent is to have such a battery, and ideally, as I said, a solar powered. Now, some of you may already have some solar panels on your roof. This is even better. Another option is to get a diesel generator. But of course, this will only work as long as there is actually diesel at the gas station that you will be able to buy. So if you want to be prepared really for the worst case scenario for any possible eventualities, then it may be a good idea to get a battery. So this is my next acquisition. So I'm planning on buying such a battery. All right, and now we're moving closer to the ozone equipment, but even before getting an ozone equipment, I would buy 35% strong hydrogen peroxide. Now, you can just Google this, 35% hydrogen peroxide, and whatever pops up, will be good to use. Now, okay, don't get confused with this. So there is no 35% strong hydrogen peroxide on Amazon, and it says here also diluted from 35% strong hydrogen peroxide. So you need to look somewhere else if you want to get the 35% strong. So this is, for example, a possibility. This is a shop that sells 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. Okay, now why should you buy this? Why should you buy 35% strong hydrogen peroxide? Because in my opinion, this is a great alternative to ozone treatments, and it does not require any power. So even if the grid goes down, you will still be able to do hydrogen peroxide baths. And so this is something that I've mentioned several times in my previous videos. I think this is a completely overlooked and underestimated modality, and I wish more people were doing this. So this is basically soaking baths in hydrogen peroxide. And the way you do it is you take 1 or 2 cups of this 30 to 35% strong hydrogen peroxide. You pour this in a full bathtub of hot water, and you soak in it for 20 to 30 minutes. And this is an excellent alternative to ozone saunas, and I believe that this is also a strong systemic treatment, systemic oxidative therapy treatment. So, and it's completely non-invasive. You don't need any needles, any syringes. It's very safe. You just need to be careful when you handle the hydrogen peroxide, because it's a very corrosive acid. So make sure you wear glasses or goggles, and that when you get it on your skin will turn white. So you need to flush it with water right away, and it can sting a little bit, but it's very important you don't get it into your eyes. And also, when you store it at home, you need to make sure that people will not get confused and will not confuse it with water, because it's odorless, it looks like water, and it behaves like water. So you need to store it away safely, and especially if you have kids at home, to make sure that they cannot just get easily to the hydrogen peroxide. But other than that, this is really a great thing to have. So I recommend to have several gallons of that at home. And you can also buy, so when I was living in Los Angeles, my local hydroponics shop, they carried 29% strong hydrogen peroxide. And so maybe you can do this too. So just look up a local hydroponics shop and get a few gallons of that stuff. So those are the things that I would do first. Make sure that you have an independent power supply in the form of a battery or of a generator, to have a big ass freezer stacked with meat, a water filter, and hydrogen peroxide. And only then would I look into ozone treatments. So for this I have prepared a number of things. So I have published an article. When was this? At the beginning of September. I called it Best Ozone Package for a Pandemic. And with pandemic, I don't really mean that thing that is going around now that has a survival rate of 99.9 or 99.8%. But maybe something serious, something really dramatic, something of the severity of, let's say, Ebola could possibly come along. But right now, I think the much bigger danger to our health are the lockdowns, this pandemic of stupidity among politicians and the public who are gullible enough to believe this lockdown nonsense and this COVID nonsense. Now, if you want to be prepared, let's say, really for any possibility, like anything, any possible bug that may come around or something that may be engineered and then, strangely escape from a laboratory, then it is a good idea to have a whole ozone setup. And so here I recommend, in my opinion, some of the most important ozone treatments to be able to do in such a situations are, number one, an ozone sauna. I think really this is the number one most important, most powerful ozone modality that you can do. And again, this is something completely non-invasive. You don't need any special skills. You don't need needles. You don't need a doctor to administer this. This is completely easy to set up and also quite affordable. But this is a really powerful ozone modality. And I believe this is a stronger systemic treatment, or can have a stronger systemic treatment than many intravenous routes. So having an ozone sauna, this is the number one thing that I recommend that people get to be prepared for when shit hits the fan big time. And an ozone sauna, now, no matter what you suffer from, let's say if you have a respiratory illness, let's say if you have some malignancy in your body, or if it's systemic inflammation, or if it's local inflammation in your joints, or if you suffer from chronic fatigue, really whatever it is. There are even stories of people who had encephalitis, which is essentially brain inflammation, and MS, multiple sclerosis, which is again inflammation in the brain, and they report major benefits from doing ozone saunas. So this is really an excellent proof. This is evidence that ozone saunas can have a systemic effect. So this is number one, what I would get. And again, if you go here to this website, there's a link to this article beneath this video. And so you just click here on the links. So this will, when you click here, this will direct you to a page that explains how the ozone saunas are assembled and how they are performed. Okay, next thing, drinking ozonated water. This is another thing that is, in my opinion, undervalued. So this is also something that you want to be able to do when shit hits the fan. So, and this is very easy to do. You can buy a fancy water bubbler with a distractor attached to it, so you can ozonate the water even while you're present in the same room. But really, you can also just wash out any glass bottle, let's say an old wine bottle. You can wash it out and you can ozonate your water in that glass bottle or a glass jug, really any glass glass thing, just a glass. So if you just want one glass of water, you can also just ozonate the water just in one glass. So anything that is made out of glass can be used to ozonate water. Then next thing, ear insufflations, vaginal, rectal insufflations. So the insufflations, so this is also a good idea to do them. And if there is something that should specifically attack the lungs, like we just had the situation, then breathing ozone bubble through olive oil is also another good modality to be able to do. But really, in my opinion, the most important ones, ozone sauna, drinking ozonated water. Those are the two most important ones, in my opinion. Okay, and so, yeah. So every ozone setup consists basically of 3 different components. So number 1 is the oxygen source, so either an oxygen concentrator or an oxygen tank. And number 2, the ozone generator. And number 3, the accessories. Right? So here we have oxygen source, ozone generator, accessories. Right? And of course, something that just mentioned, the power. You absolutely need a power supply in order to be able to generate ozone. And also, okay, something that you want to be careful about is you don't want to breathe the ozone in. So whenever you buy your ozone setup, you also have to plan ahead how to make sure that you will not breathe the excess ozone in, because even if you use destructors, even if you are careful, even if you use a very low oxygen flows, there will be some excess ozone in the room, and you want to really minimize your exposure to that excess ozone, so you don't want to breathe it in. So you want to have either a fan that will blow at you and blow the ozone away from your nose and from your mouth, or have a mask. Now the mask, this is my preferred method. You just put on the mask and you can just do whatever you want, and you don't have this wind blowing at you all the whole time. Or a distractor. Now distractors can be used only in very few ozone treatments. So for example, when you ozonate water, then you can use a distractor. When you ozonate oil, but very few people ozonate their oils. And when you fill a syringe, then you can use a distractor. But for all the other types of treatments, you can't really use a distractor. So, all right, so, well, let's go to it. Okay, so oxygen source. So again, no, if you don't want to, show me, you don't want to listen to this right now, then you can just go to the description below the video and click on the link where you will direct it to this article. So basically, as far as the oxygen source is concerned, so in my opinion, the best solution right now is, when it comes to oxygen tanks, is ultra high purity scientific grade oxygen tanks that are available at Airgas. And so this is here what you see here on the left side. This is such a tank, and they do not require any prescription, no license, no nothing. And each batch is tested separately, and they come with a certificate, and the oxygen is purer than medical grade oxygen. So you get a higher percentage of oxygen than with medical grade. So this is called ultra high purity scientific grade oxygen, available at Airgas, but you can, this is only for pickup, so you cannot just order it online. So this is one of the best options. And now when we're talking about, an Armageddon type, end of the world type of situation, then you want to have both options. You want to have an oxygen tank, and you want to have an oxygen concentrator, because the oxygen tank, it makes you independent of a power source, and the oxygen concentrator, it makes you independent of a refill station. So should your tank run low at some point, then you can always switch to the oxygen concentrator as long as you have a power supply. right? But if you don't have a power supply, if the power grid goes down for whatever reason, then you can always switch over to the tank. So really having both options, and I have both options. I have actually 2 different concentrators and I think like 3 different oxygen tanks. This is the best option. So if you really want to be, let's say, armed up to your teeth, so to say, then you get both. And of course, this is very important here. So whatever oxygen source you pick, you need a low flow regulator, because an oxygen source without a low flow regulator is essentially worthless. So if you get the oxygen concentrator, you will need a so-called external low flow regulator like this thing. And this is from PromoLife, in my opinion. This is the best one. I had different types of external regulators in my life, and they actually damaged, at least in 2 cases, they damaged my oxygen concentrators. And this one, I've been using this one for, I think, over 2 years, and it did not damage my oxygen concentrator. So this is a really good product from PromoLife. Now, if you get this ultra high purity scientific grade oxygen, which comes in a CGA 540 industrial type tank, then you will also need a CGA 540 industrial type regulator. And again, you can get this one. I think this is one of the best quality ones, this with a golden color here. And you can also get this at PromoLife, and you have links to the products. Okay, next you want to have an ozone generator. Now there are many different ones and I present them on my page. My favorite is the PromoLife dual cell, but you can use many other generators as well. And so here are the accessories. So again, everything is listed. So you can go and check it out. And so you can basically look what you have, what you don't have, what you're still missing. Now, if you're interested in doing DIVs, now DIV injections, this is, in my opinion, can be a very powerful ozone treatment. This is basically direct intravenous ozone injections, and I wrote a book about it. I talked about this in my last video. So this is also a good tool in your toolbox to have. Now, I don't think that you absolutely need to perform DIVs with certain conditions. I believe most things can be also taken care of with ozone sauce, drinking ozonated water, all the other insufflations. But this is one of my favorite types of ozone treatments because it's extremely powerful, goes directly into the blood. It's very easy to perform, and as you can see, you just need some very simple, cheap supplies to be able to do this. So again, here you find a list of the things. Here again, ideas of how to protect yourself from breathing ozone. So just visit this article and just find for yourself, see for yourself what you want to add to your ozone equipment, which some of you may already have. And I have also prepared something. Now this is an update of a resource that I published last year, and I just updated it. And so this is a guide on how to buy an ozone generator for ozone therapy at home. So this is nearly 100 pages, and this goes really in detail into basically everything, like the short overview that I just gave you. So it goes into detail of what are all the things that you need to buy. So those are the 3 things, A, B, C. So oxygen, ozone generator, and accessories. And what type of oxygen do you need when you do what? So certain ozone applications call for oxygen from a tank. Others can be used with an oxygen concentrator. And then I also go through all the different generators and the accessories, and then also give tips how to save money. So this is a gigantic resource, and it's quite popular, and this is a free download. There is a link to it underneath this video in the description, or you can also just go to my website So thepowerofozone.com, and then you click on shop here on top in the top right corner. You click on shop, and so you will be directed to the shop. And here, when you scroll down, free resources, and here you can click on the download, and so you have instant access to this guide. So you can either watch it, read it online, or you can download it if you want to. Okay, another helpful resource, in my opinion, is this article that I wrote, How to Get the Benefit of Ozone Therapy for $100 or Less. So here I also explain why you should get 35% strong hydrogen peroxide and do the soaking baths. I talk also about meat and the carnivore diet, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory intervention. And yeah, so I give a couple of other things. Okay, oxy powder homozone. This is also something that I think should be in each household, and it's a great protection for any type of food poisonings or other bacterial or pathogenic infections in the digestive tract. So there are links to all those resources in the description of this video. So go and check them out. And if you'd like to consult with me, then you can also do that. So for this, go to thepowerofozone.com/shop, and then thepowerofozone.com/book me, and if you'd like, you can book a consultation with me. All right, guys, so that was it. Be prepared, be strong, and also, okay, very important, I forgot to mention guns. Now, if you can buy a gun, buy a gun. You see, unfortunately, I'm in a country where I am not allowed to buy guns, but if I were, then I would definitely buy some. So I think it is a good idea to be armed and be able to protect yourself. All right, stay strong, be prepared, and thank you very much for watching. Bye, take care.